First tonight to state politics, where the LNP's audacious leadership gamble seems to be paying off. The first news poll since Campbell Newman's dramatic switch to the state arena shows the Liberal National Party opening up a huge lead over the Labor government. The Premier and her ministers barely acknowledged the figures, but one long-time Labor politician is more candid, telling 7:30 Queensland it'll be next to impossible for the government to win the next election.
I'm not going to be distracted by polls that come and go. Polls will come and go, they'll be good and bad. I'm not going to be distracted.
It's a stock standard answer for politicians, but as opinion polls go, this one was particularly bad for Labor. Not that the Premier and her ministers were prepared to admit it.
We've never been a poll-driven government.
Look, we're getting on with the job.
I'm not driven by polls, I'm driven every day by what Queensland needs me to do.
Many Queenslanders were impressed with her efforts during the state's natural disasters, and Anna Bligh's popularity surged. For the first time in many months, Labor was back on top. Then came Campbell Newman.
I solemnly commit that we will make this great state once again can-do Queensland.
It's 2 months since Brisbane's former Lord Mayor launched his audacious bid, gaining pre-selection to contest the seat of Ashgrove. He also won the support of the party room to lead the LNP from outside Parliament, despite one senior MP blasting party officials for the way the coup happened.
It is not their role to foist an alternative Premier on the parliamentary wing. It is not their role, it is not their responsibility, it is against Westminster Convention, and it's a very, very dangerous precedent.
But that's as bad as it got, and confidence in Conservative ranks is growing. One long-time Labor figure sees the writing on the wall for the ALP. David Hinchliffe has worked alongside Campbell Newman in the Brisbane City Council and says his time as Premier is nigh. David Hinchliffe, your involvement with Labor spans more than 2 decades. Is its time in state government over?
Look, as much as I hate to say it, as much as I like Anna Bligh personally, I have to say that its time factor and the can-do tag are going to be very difficult for the Bligh government to overcome. I don't think you have to read the tea leaves or consult a crystal ball to work out that the government is in dire straits. I've seen Campbell close up. I know how he operates. Campbell and I think, respect each other. I think his time is coming.
Do you have any sympathy for the position Labor finds itself in?
Look, I have to be honest and say I don't have sympathy for state Labor. I have some sympathy for Anna Bligh, who I think is a good leader, but it was Peter Beattie and Paul Lucas who worked very closely with Campbell Newman. They protected and promoted Campbell Newman. They paid many of his bills. They wiped Campbell's debt when he was in council. They built a lot of the infrastructure that Campbell asked them to do. Time and time again, they came to his rescue. Basically, he is the Frankenstein monster that Peter Beattie and Paul Lucas created out of their own workshop. They wanted strategically to have a Liberal ally in City Hall. He's turned into the axeman that's coming to chop off their heads. So if anyone is responsible for the rise of Campbell Newman, it is Peter Beattie and Paul Lucas.
He's the next Premier of Queensland?
I personally don't have any doubt that he's in line for that top job. It's clear to me that it's going to be next to impossible for the government to overcome those factors. It's time, and the can-do brand, regardless of how fake those brands or slogans may be, it's going to be incredibly difficult, almost impossible for the government to overcome that.
So given now what would appear to be a very low base of support for Labor, what can the government do to try to win some support back?
Well, I think as much as the government will blame Campbell Newman for its problems, I think a large part of the blame lies with them. In terms of the political strategy, it was Labor who said just vote one. The divide now in Queensland politics is between Labor and Greens for the share of the vote on the left of politics. If you don't have preferences being exchanged, Labor is history. The Liberal and National parties have, and it might be a marriage of convenience, married up so they no longer split the vote. Don't underestimate how important the issue of optional preferential voting is in the coming election. So optional preferential itself is a nail in Labor's coffin. Who drove that nail in? Well, it was Peter Beattie and Terry McEnroth, who 10 years ago invented the slogan, "Just vote one." So a lot of these chooks are coming home to roost. They changed the electoral system. They encouraged people not to distribute preferences. They propped up and looked after Campbell Newman's debt. And now he's the man who's coming to chop off their heads.
So there's nothing they can do?
I think the government needs to focus on Campbell's weakness. And from my experience, that is that he is a man who suffers no criticism whatsoever. He has banished people from his own party who've disagreed with him. Campbell is a product not just of politics but of the army. And in the army, you have a chain of command and you issue orders and no one is allowed to dissent. Democracy doesn't work that way. You know, the electorate is not an army. We don't all stand to attention, salute and follow orders. Campbell has a genuine difficulty with anyone who disagrees with him. And I don't think that's good for political discussion and for public policy.
David Hinchliffe, thank you.
My pleasure.